Hades is available on PC and Nintendo Switch. I reviewed the PC version of the game.
Here I am.
Hades is an action roguelite steeped in Greek mythology. You take on the role of Zagreus, a secret son of Hades seeking to escape the underworld, a nearly impossible feat. The great thing about living in the underworld is death is simply an inconvenience. No matter how many times Zagreus is slain, he rises once again within the house of Hades. While the form factor of the game is clearly a roguelite, complete with permadeath meeting meta progression, it's intertwined with the setting and baked right into the world and its themes. Zagreus' various deaths are canon, and the characters you meet will comment on them. Success and failure consistently push the story and its character interactions forward in a way that's not usually seen within the roguelite genre. Hades has an incredible amount of voiced contextual dialogue scattered throughout its varied cast of Greek mythological figures, all of which are voiced by talented actors that really bring the characters to life.
Well, look at you with Exogryph, the rail of adamant. Seems much too noisy complicated as a hunting weapon when you could just use a nice quiet bow, but hey, to each her own.
Like the underworld itself, Hades is a game of layers, one that is slowly peeled back hour after hour and death after death. Initially, the combat seems exceptionally lightweight, and while it always remains simple to use, with only a few attacks mapped to a couple of buttons, its depth is deceptive. You see, Zagreus has access to several unlockable weapons, each with its own distinct attacks, and you have to choose one each run. You might pick the long-range bow, rapid-fire gun, defensive shield, swift sword, powerful gauntlets, or a far-reaching spear. Zagreus can also always fire a shard of his own burning blood, though he must retrieve it afterward. Zagreus has unwitting allies in the form of the Olympians. They can't intervene directly, but they send messages complete with boons that Zagreus can pick up and choose from. Boons directly alter the effects and appearance of his weapon's attacks and his casting ability. Poseidon may add a watery pushback to an attack, which can be handy as slamming an enemy into a wall does extra damage, and the environment itself is laden with hazards. Athena may allow Zagreus to reflect projectiles, while Zeus might cause lightning to arc between foes.
You know I've many vitally important things to do besides lending my aid to you repeatedly, nephew. But all of that can wait. Family comes first.
Each of these boons affects every weapon differently. A tidal wave from the rapidly firing bullets of the adamant rail feels different than when it's applied to Stygius, the sword. Reflecting a projectile when you dash feels significantly different than when it's applied to a volley of arrows. You may even find a hammer of Daedalus to alter how your weapon functions. What if your shield bash was turned into a long-range charged shot, but also shoved enemies back thanks to Poseidon? What if your gun could fire 3 bombs, all of which were imbued with the freezing power of the goddess Demeter? Every possible change alters your playstyle. The game has tons of random elements, and you never truly know what the next room holds. However, each doorway shows you the reward that's waiting beyond it, be it a boon, a palm of power to level up a current boon, or some kind of currency to spend back home. It's up to you to choose which path suits your current strategy, and whether you need more power for your current run or something to spend back home to make yourself permanently stronger. Eventually, you can even unlock new aspects for your weapons that can fundamentally change how they feel.
Chaos. Zeus.
Hades encourages experimentation as well. To truly acquire the resources you need, you must progress through the layers of the underworld and defeat its guardians using a variety of weapons and tactics. Sticking to just one will gimp your progression severely, since many rewards are tied to the weapons you're using. The army of underworld denizens that seek to slay you further enhances the game's depth. Each of the 4 layers offers a variety of foes. Each and every one has its own quirks and powers, and your approach will vary drastically based not only on your choice of weapon, but also on the boons you have picked up. Many attacks stun lock enemies, but armored enemies can't be stun locked until their armor is broken. Just watching Hades in motion doesn't truly convey what's happening. It will look like a fast-paced button masher, but that's simply not the truth. Behind the scenes, in the mind of the player piloting Zagreus, is a sequence of moment-to-moment tactical thoughts on how to deal with the enemy combinations in each room. Backstab this monster, throw an area of effect blast here to slow them down, break this guy's armor, deal with the ranged one first. And all of this is based on tons and tons of factors that are different every playthrough. Getting hit is very bad in Hades. I know that should be obvious, but healing is rare, and usually comes at the cost of picking it over a boon or some valuable currency. Button mashing simply doesn't work. I mean, you will be mashing buttons, sure, but in a thoughtful way that isn't apparent up front. The way Hades manages to present an incredibly simple combat system and enhances it with nearly infinite depth is truly a marvel, all while incorporating meaningful player choice alongside the randomness that keeps things fresh. Nearly all of your choices influences the game's visuals as well. Aspects change the look of a weapon, while boons showcase the aspect of that god. Water for Poseidon, lightning for Zeus, and blasts of pink love for Aphrodite. It's an addictive and rewarding system that offers a great deal of fast-paced action with meaningful decision-making and thoughtful risk-taking. Every choice matters. Which boon to take? Do you want money or power? Can you risk this particular trial for extra loot?
So did everybody miss me?
Hades presents a kinship between Zagreus and the player not usually seen in the genre. Oftentimes, the permadeath aspect of a roguelite exists, but is glossed over. In Hades, you feel Zagreus' desperation, his frustration, and his urgency to get topside.
Chambers a mess. Look at your desk, Father. Whatever happened to your court musician, huh? Where's his sentencing parchment work? Stuck in Tartarus all because he stopped singing for you on command.
You can connect with the encouraging messages from the Olympians that are trying to help you, and early on, you even imagine what life might be like for Zagreus on Mount Olympus. What it might be like to hunt alongside Artemis, or to chill with Dionysius. Of course, there's more to the story than just getting topside, but I won't spoil that here. Just be aware that your first win isn't the end of the story. In fact, it's only the beginning. In a way, upon learning that, I felt cheated and a little angry. That's the point, though. I was supposed to, and when you see it yourself and hear the words the characters say, you will understand what I mean. The game asks you to beat it many times, and under different changing circumstances to continue the story. And with the extra tools and challenges it gives you, it works out pretty well. Every success or failure fills your hands with a variety of new currencies, most of which you influence by your own choices, and they allow you to grow Zagreus' power in a variety of ways. Through simple statistical bonuses, enhancing weapon aspects, or by adding entire new rooms to the underworld that may appear in any given run. But it's not just the meta progression that matters upon every death and every win. The characters and story all progress, many times contextually based on your actions. You meet a variety of Greek heroes, deities, and other characters you might recognize. They all push the main and side plots forward with something new to say upon every meeting. There's even a relationship system that you can foster Harvest Moon style through gifts, that eventually impart even more gameplay mechanics upon you. The Olympians themselves seem to have a never-ending stream of messages to send you with your boons, and they too change based on the context of what has happened, and even what weapon you're carrying.
What's going on there, cuz? Can I call you cuz? Got something here for you. Should make your battles to the death end that much quicker.
Hades tells a story in a unique way, and it certainly wouldn't work for every game. Cliffhangers tend to happen at the end of a story. In Hades, they happen all the time. And as Zagreus' frustration mounts, so too will yours, as you must complete a run to expose each small piece of the puzzle. Yet the game's combat is so solid, it never feels like a chore. There's always some new upgrade to pursue, usually at the behest of a self-imposed challenge that you can choose to apply in order to unlock the said reward, via a special challenge system that pushes you to experiment. Hades is all about mastery through repetition, but it does so in a way that doesn't feel repetitive, in part due to its excellent gameplay design. but also due to its wide array of personalities voiced by a great cast that brings them to life with far more dialogue than you would expect. Hades' replayability is truly astronomical, and this is a review I'd rather stop writing to go play it instead, but its reliance on repetition does have a few pitfalls. The enemy variety is lacking, and that feels weird to say because the game has a ton of enemy types, all of which are designed very well. However, for the number of times you need to replay Hades, it could really use even more. You will undoubtedly grow tired of some of them. This is especially apparent with the bosses. There is a slight variation of some of them, but it's not massive in most cases, and you have to fight them every single run. Granted, that's also kind of the point. You are supposed to master how these bosses work, and your playstyle is obviously different each run. The boss fights themselves are expertly designed, but it wears sometimes. In my case, I am incredibly exhausted of the boss on World 3. It has no variants that I've discovered, and I tire of fighting them every single run. Given how the game works and how my playstyle is still different, I still lose to it sometimes. But even a couple more boss types per world would make a drastic difference in my enjoyment. I also have an issue with the fourth layer of the underworld. It follows a different design principle from the rest of the game and feels rickety and less cohesive. The enemies aren't as fun to fight. It introduces a frustrating poison effect, and it just feels less polished than the rest of the game. I try to rush through it every run. Hades is a game that should probably be awful. Roguelites in general are all about replaying them, but Hades lights that concept up with hellfire and brimstone. And it would be awful if Supergiant Games hadn't crafted it with enough skill to make Hephaestus blush. The gameplay is polished to a shine that could petrify Medusa with a single glance, and the storytelling works in such a masterful way that even the Three Fates would be ashamed for not thinking of it first. Like the mythology it's based on, Hades' gameplay is as sharp as Poseidon's trident and as wise as Athena's wit. It incorporates characters from Greek mythology in such a way that should really excite any fan of the myth. Those particularly keen on the subject will truly appreciate the game's cleverness. Everyone knows who Zeus and Hades are, but the subject matter also allows you to interact with characters such as Orpheus and Eurydice, and Sisyphus. Plus, the game's depiction of Cerberus is sure to bring a smile. Here's a hint. You can pet the dog. Even the name Zagreus may raise an eyebrow to some. It uses its source material in a great way, telling a serious story, but with a penchant for humor as well. And it does so wrapped in the wool of one of the greatest action roguelites ever made. Golden Fleece, eat your heart out. Hades is an example of a masterfully designed cohesive package. Its few flaws only manage to surface because of how much the game expects you to play it. Its greatness remains untarnished because you'll want to. Zeus owns the sky and Poseidon the sea. Well, eat it, Olympus. Hades has a kick-ass game. To recap, the pros. It has simple to learn controls. It features fantastic fast-paced but thoughtful combat. There are numerous ways to tweak your playstyle. There is a large variety of fun Greek god boons and upgrades. There are 6 varied weapons. It has satisfying meta progression. It has a unique way of storytelling. There is a great cast of characters. Lots of mechanics are revealed over time. It has visually pleasing aesthetics that change based on boons and aspects. The enemies and bosses are well designed, and it has high replay value. The cons. Enemies and bosses can be repetitive. The fourth world sucks and can go to the sticks. The nature of the game makes it grindy. Overall, I give Hades a 9.8 out of 10.
Let's see what I can do with it.
If you enjoyed this video, liking and subscribing is immensely helpful. I've also left a link to my website and my creator store down in the description below. My website is where you can find the bulk of my content, and my creator store is where you can purchase games that net you a Steam key, but also support the website and this channel and content. Thanks for watching, and until next time.